So there's a lot of conversation about how to get clients and leads from LinkedIn, and there's number of tools and tactics and automations and approaches. And I wanted to take a moment to have a conversation about what's the right and wrong approach, um, so that you can, or rather, what are the approaches that I can make a decision whether something is a right or wrong approach for you. And so again, we have to look at things from a strategic perspective, helicopter view perspective, before we make a decision on what to focus on and how to approach our own way of lead generation, demand generation on LinkedIn. The reason why I like to go through the principles first is to understand the reasons why we do certain things. A lot of people out there online will give you the tactical piece, will give you the tactics, will tell you this is the way, but not understanding how that tactic, that piece of a puzzle fits the whole picture, um, creates this, situation where you do something that is one either not might not be good for you, um, or two is just not going to work. It's not good for you, as in like you shouldn't be doing this because you have a different skill set, whatever. And number two is just not going to work because it's just not um, it's not a good tactic for your situation, basically. And so um, we need to, instead of focusing on the shiny objects and like going after a new tool, a new automation, a new tactic of like, always leave a comment on LinkedIn. That piece of advice might make sense in certain scenarios. And it also might make sense to you only if you have an understanding of the big picture and only if it fits your strategy, it fits your bigger picture. So with that being said, in general, we have to talk about like why people buy from others. Couple of things here. First of all, there's the know, like, and trust factor. Second of all, there's fixing a problem kind of situation. So let's actually start with this one. Every business exists to solve a problem. If you're a consultant, freelancer, agency owner, you run Airbnb, a hotel, a restaurant, a car shop, whatever, you are fixing people's problems and they're paying you money to fix their problems, right? So you need to start with understanding that. You need to start about, you need to start with thinking, what kind of problem am I solving? Who has that problem? Who am I talking to fix that problem? Who am I talking to see whether they do have that problem? Can I fix their problem? How do I fix their problem? Right? And that's already giving you a lot of ammunition in terms of like content and the approaches. People ask me for scripts for DMs on LinkedIn. We sell a lot on LinkedIn, but like they're asking me for scripts. There's no script. There's approach. There's principle. I want to know if the person that's on the other side of LinkedIn kind of app, if that person has a problem that I can and want to fix, and also if that person wants to fix that problem, and also if that person is willing to pay for the fix, and also if the pain is worth fixing the pain is worth more than what I'm charging, right? So all these things I'm trying to understand, and to give you an idea of why this is important is I'll give you an example of my dad, who is not a very fit person to say in a politically correct way. He's not a fit guy. He does not go to the gym. He likes to eat sweets. You get the picture. And so at one point, when I visited him, my parents' house, I said, "Hey, Dad," I was so happy because I said, "Hey, Dad, there's a gym on the other side of the street, like literally, like you can see it from through the window." And I went there. I got you a membership. I paid for the whole year for the membership. The only thing you have to do is put your shoes on, put your joggers on, and go and work out. And he looks at me. He goes like, "But I don't want to." And so does he have a problem? Yes, he does. Does he know he have a problem? Yes, he does. Is he willing to fix that problem? No, he's not. And so part of conversations on LinkedIn or any sales conversation is to understand, is the other person I'm talking to, that is that person, does that person have the problem? Are they willing to fix that problem? Are they willing to pay for the fix for that problem, right? So that's number one. Number two is, if you have this thing done, number two is the know, like, and trust factor. People buy from people who they know, like and trust. Some of you will say, well, I don't need to like my accountant to be, able to work with them. If they trust them, they can do their job. Sure, that yeah, I get that. But at the same time, if someone is not, if you don't vibe with someone, if you're just having like constant, bumping heads, like that's not gonna work. That's not gonna be a good long-term relationship, right? If there's a lot of misunderstanding, miscommunication, that's part of the like kind of factor as well. And so, with that being said, how do we build the know, like, and trust factor? And then how do we implement the fixing a problem and understanding whether the other person wants to fix the problem? How do we implement that piece into the whole LinkedIn strategy? Um, because what happens in the common suggestion or advice on LinkedIn is to write content, right? Post content every day, and then comment on these, influencers, and be the first one to comment, and also comment on other comments and respond to comments, and then also engage, right? And those kind of like, in general, those those that advice kind of makes sense, but it also is serving a purpose of this big influencer who told you to comment on their post at a given time. It actually serves their purpose, not necessarily yours. It helps their algorithm um, push their content, because the algorithm, LinkedIn algorithm, will look at it and go like, oh my gosh, in the last 10 minutes or 20 minutes, so many people commented on it. These are valuable comments. I need to push this content wider, and that content goes well when it comes to impressions and reach. And so it's not necessarily helping you, it's definitely helping them. I'm not saying commenting is a bad thing, because no, like, and trust factor, if you can comment, if you can write a comment that will show you as someone who is likable and someone who knows what they're talking about, then absolutely that's gonna help. But blindly, commenting on other influencers' posts just for the sake of commenting doesn't make much sense. So, what is important when it comes to LinkedIn? And this applies to, I would argue, any other social media platform with obviously some sort of very modification. Instagram will look a little bit different when it comes to content you put out there versus LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is more like long form or like written, right? Post. Instagram is more visual. Then YouTube will be more visual, like a video driven, and so on and so forth. But in general, know, like, and trust. Um, Before I go into know, like, and trust, one other thing. The biggest reason why, and there's a whole different episode on it, but I just want to put it here. One of the biggest reasons why freelancers, consultants, fractionals, agency owners, any service businesses, any personal brands do not grow is that nobody knows they exist, right? So that's the no factor again. Nobody knows you exist, because you're just doing the great work, and then you're hoping for referrals, you're hoping for someone to refer you, hoping for someone to send you a client. Word of mouth is what you rely on, right? So nobody knows about you. You're not putting yourself out there, you're not building content, you're not creating content, you're not building awareness. That's problem number one. Problem number two is that even if you're building that awareness, which most of you don't, is that you don't tell people that they can actually buy something from you. So they're not aware of the fact that they can buy something. Like, you keep on giving, you keep on giving, good content and thought leadership and all that stuff. That's great, but if you want to sell, you have to tell people there's something to buy from you. You need to ask them to buy, and that doesn't mean you have to be sleazy. We all have our own approaches and all our own angles and ways to ask for sale, but you have to you have to tell people that there's a way to work with you, right? And so you have to ask for sale, you have to present an offer, right? And most of you are not presenting the offer, let alone have the offer. Like, you don't even know what you could be selling, you don't even have a package. Like, part of my work with my clients is building offers around the products, and product being you as a freelancer, you as a consultant, and then offers, how you sell it, how you deliver it, what are the terms of delivering a product called you, right? So People don't know that you exist. They don't know that you have the offer, and then your offer sucks or doesn't exist. I mean, you're not asking for the offer, and your offer doesn't exist, or it's not a good match. Again, if you think about the the reasons behind why the business exists is business exists to solve a problem. Like there's no match between your offer and the audience, right? So you have something to offer, but your audience doesn't want that. So that's a bad offer, right? So that being, that's on the side. Let's go back to the know, like, and trust factor. So there's three main things when it comes to LinkedIn that will allow you and help you grow and scale. Um, Grow and scale, same. You have to have your profile optimized. You have to have your content put on display, which is on your profile, and then you have to talk to people. It's either they will talk to you because you'll have inbound requests and hand raising posts, and those posts. When I say hand raising posts, those are the posts where you say comment below if you want this, and someone says yes, I'm commenting, and so I want this, and then they raise their hand and say, hey, I want this, right? So that's how you can get those conversations starting, or you can do outreach as well. I focus more on outreach, and again, outreach. I know a lot of you go like, that sounds sleazy and sneaky, and I don't like that. It doesn't have to be. I don't go on LinkedIn and say, hey, you want to buy my shit? No, I don't. I reach out to people to understand whether they have the problem I can fix, and they're willing to pay for the problem. They want to fix that problem. That is my conversation that's happening, right? It's not happening in two sentences. It's happening over 30 different messages that we exchange. So it's not, cold outreach doesn't equal sleazy outreach. So that's very important to remember. So you have to have your profile optimized on LinkedIn. Then you have to have your content in place, and then you have to reach out to people. And it's either inbound conversations or outbound conversations. So those are the three things. Now, if we go from kind of from the back, meaning DMs first. If you were, by the way, if you ask me what is the most important piece of all of these, do I need to optimize first? Um, do I need to what's the word? Uh, um, Create content, or maybe I should do DMs. If you ask me what is the one thing that you should be focusing on, I would say DMs by far are the most important piece of the whole structure. The reason why is you you are starting conversations with other people, right? And that is where the business starts. That's where the money is. You need to start having conversations with people to understand whether they have the problem, you can fix that problem, all that stuff we explored already, right? So that's the most important piece. Now, if you just reach out to people on LinkedIn and talk to them, they will be curious about you. So what most likely will happen is they will go and check your profile, right? They're curious, like, who is this Mike guy? What does he have? Like, why would I listen to this person? They like most of the people will go and check your profile. And so if your profile is not optimized, and by optimized I mean who are you working with and what problem are you solving? If your profile is not optimized, they'll be confused or not sure about whether they can trust you. Again, remember about the trust factor, right? So that's why it's very important for you to optimize your profile. Number two, what will happen is that they will go and see your profile, then so they will get a feel for who you are. They will start to know you, the know factor. They will look at whether they kind of like you based on the picture and like what you have to say on the profile. But most likely what they'll go and check what kind of comments you make and what kind of posts you put out there. This is how they know whether they should trust you and whether they will like you or not, whether they like your style. They don't do it it's not a conscious thing of like, I want to go and see their profile so that I can see if I like them. But people want to know, like, hey, is this resonating, right? And if they feel that they kind of like you and resonate with you, and they see a post and content on LinkedIn where they start to kind of trust you, they see your approach, they see your values, they see what kind of comments you make, they see the posts that you make, they see the value in what you do, This is where the know, like, and trust factor starts to be built. And so the optimized profile and content being out there are supportive functions to allow you and help you, have a good conversations on DMs. Without it, it's still doable to have a conversation on DM, but it's going to be a little bit harder because people will not know, like, why should I talk to you? Like, who are you? They cannot paint a picture. It's all about branding and positioning. Like, I don't know which what label I should put on this my guy. Like, who is he, right? So you help them through branding and positioning and content and thought leadership. You help them build that understanding of who you are and what you have, what you bring to the table, right? So that's number one. And then on the other side, for example, if you were like, well, I hate DMs, I don't want to do DMs, I just want to do profile optimization and content. So while content and profile optimization supports DMs, then the content itself, a standalone, can also bring you leads, inbound leads, the hand raising posts and stuff like that. But it's a long-term game. And a lot of the time, what happens is that the thought leadership that's like more strategic will get less engagement, and then that means it will get less reach, less impressions. So that means you'll reach less people, and potentially less people will reach out to you, especially if you don't have a proper offer. If you never presented your offer to your audience, they will not know that there's also actually an option to work with you. That's why I mentioned that in the beginning, that is important piece to like actually have the offer and present that offer to your audience, right? So they have to know that you exist, they have to know that you have the offer, and that offer has to be matching what they're looking for, right? So um, when they see your content, then this is where without the DMs, sometimes they might be reaching out to you. If you do the content with the hand raising post, so thought leadership content is one, but the hand raising post content is where there's a call to action and you're asking your audience to raise their hands and say, hey, I want this. Now, this sounds like a great tactic. You're like, well, then I don't need DMs. Those people will come to me. They'll proactively ask me to give them something. Sure, but it's kind of a little bit clickbaity, as in like that call to action has to be attractive and kind of a little bit like, you know, low hanging fruit for people, like low friction, which is great, but also that leads to a lower quality leads. And when I say lower quality, I mean like people who are freebie seekers, people who are, you know, tire kickers. This is gonna come in like, okay, this is for free. I'm gonna raise my hand, but I don't want to buy anything from this guy, right? So while you get a lot of engagement and while you get a lot of comments and your post goes viral, whatever, you're not necessarily getting the outcome that you want, which is the actual lead and the actual sales. A lot of agencies will say, well, we'll get you leads, da da da. Like, yeah, but like what is the definition of a lead? What is the quality of that lead? Right? So if it's just a name on LinkedIn, then that's not necessarily that valuable. But a conversation on DM and someone who's telling you, hey, I actually have this problem that you just told me about, like that is a massively, a completely different situation, right? So all that to say is that content in itself, while it's a great strategy, um, it's first of all might not bring you the right quality of leads. Second of all, it's a long-term game, right? Because you have to build the know, like, and trust factor. You have to keep showing up. People have to like, and also people have to see your content. And because of the impressions and the reach is so low these days, like organic, right? Just a small fraction of your audience actually see your content. And so there has to be multiple touch points of someone from your audience seeing your content to for them to make a decision whether they want to work with you or not. And so if you post once per day, there's a chance that the same person will see your posts, 5 times in a week. But also, you don't know if they log into LinkedIn every single day, right? You don't know if they actually saw your post from tomorrow because it just didn't show up on their feed because someone else's post showed up higher and because it got better engagement. So LinkedIn algorithm showed it to more people and they saw it instead of yours. So that's the problem with kind of content creation is where while valuable, it's a long-term game because of these limitations I just mentioned, right? So the best approach is actually, if you ask me in terms of like the weight, I would say, well, go, more all in, not all in, but like let's say 70-80% on DMs, and then the rest is content. Um, if you were to choose just one thing, I would say DMs. If you were to build the whole kind of system, then absolutely optimize your profile, do content, so that you can build the know, like, and trust factor, and then have conversations, initiate conversations on, cold outreach, basically in DMs, in a smart way, not sleazy way, in a way that is aligned with your strategy, aligned with your business, aligned with your brand, aligned with your approach, aligned with your kind of, ethical spine, if you will. Um, so so that you have the supporting function of content. The content, on its own, it's also delivering you results, slower, but still gives you results, and it amplifies your conversations on DMs, and also DMs amplify the conversation, the content, because the way the algorithm works, at least right now, is that whenever you talk to people on DMs, LinkedIn will show your content to them on top of their feed, because they feel it will understand that you have a good conversation and relationship, and so it will show your content to them, to those people that you talk to, right? So it's not one or the other, it's both. It's But then if you would have to choose, like, what is the more weight, like, should I pay more attention and more time, spend more time writing new content, or should I spend more time talking to people? Talk to more people is number one priority. So instead of, if you have to, like, split your time and dedicate a certain amount of time, you cannot, let's say, post content every single day on LinkedIn, then do it, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or once a week, and then dedicate the rest of your available time for biz dev. Do it on LinkedIn DMs instead, right? If you have to choose one or the other, or if you have to split it, 90-10% of your time. So I hope this helps, because it's like an overview of like how things work and why we choose certain things. For example, why do we comment on stuff? Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't comment on stuff. I'm just saying, don't comment on this influencer when they post. Go find people who are in your niche, who attract other clients, or leads that are also your leads, and have a conversation so that you can show up as someone who they get to know, get to like, and get to trust. So it's not your content on your profile. It's you're kind of capturing a spotlight a little bit. Someone else posted something that is getting traction, people are commenting, and you engage and has started conversations in the comments. So it's not about dropping a comment like, oh, this is valuable, great post, or like some nonsense like that. It's about actually having a conversation. So you're moving the conversation from the DM to the comment section with someone. So that still serves the purpose, but it's a kind of like a mirror of what happens in DMs. It's just on the feed, in the comments. The benefit of having this kind of comments is that because they're public, whatever you have to say, and that the thought leadership that you're sharing in the comments is reaching more people. It's a little bit like you talk. I talk with my clients. We have a Slack channel for my clients who are part of the Productize Sprint or the 100K consultant program. And I always tell them, please do not DM me a question unless it's like private or super confidential. Put it in the main channel so that other people can actually benefit from the conversation. And so when you have a conversation in the comment section, other people will benefit, and there's going to be a bigger awareness of who you are. Whereas if you keep it private, it's just between you and the other person, right? So if you have a chance to really have a good conversation and discussion in those comment sections, not this nonsense like great posts and commenting just for the sake of commenting because the influencer told you so, but because there is an actual legit conversation, discussion happening, have something to add, there's something valuable you can bring to the table, have that conversation there. It's an equivalent of the DMs, it's just in the public, right? Um, so know, like, and trust factor, understanding that you're there to solve a problem, and having conversation to verify whether the other person has the problem we can fix. Are they willing to solve this problem? Are they willing to pay for that problem? That is your job to understand on the DMs, and then making sure that you have the offer that is matching their challenges and then their needs. That's about it. And then it's choosing the right tactics and right approaches to that. So hope this helps. There's going to be more on sales and no like and trust factor and the 3 reasons why you're not growing, which is, awareness, offer, lack of presenting that offer in the other episodes, other videos. So talk to you soon, and please share this with people who might enjoy it. See you soon.